What's going on, folks? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Man, oh man, this big ass fucking elephant is in my way. So, let me make sure everybody can hear me if I pull up my chat. Because I just got back from, actually went to Denny's. Because that's our thing. We go to Denny's, or sometimes IHOP, or places to eat after class. And so that's a ritual now. It's a thing. But unlike some folks, I have to make sure that I take care of my child all the time, not just when it's convenient for the internet. So I had to end up taking my son to class with me, and so I mean he's well behaved. Most people forget I even have a kid because he doesn't make noise. He's actually quite quiet and well behaved, very well behaved. So we did that, and I'm still trying to catch up and figure out like what the fuck's going on here with our good old friend Steve, which has come to my attention that yet again he's creeping on women, but because we've never seen Steve MCrae do that at any point in time ever. Any time a woman has come around, not Jackie, not Sugar Rhodes, not Annabelle, just literally anyone who possesses a vagina, it may just waft it in his general direction. Have we not seen Steve become an ultimate fucking creep? But that's who he is. There's a reason he lives the way he lives, and there's a reason why he's fucking single. So, I digress. What's creepy about this shit, though, to me, and what's suspect as hell, what's really fucking suspect is his new obsession, because you know he's not going to take on people who can challenge him intellectually, because I know he likes to toss that sort of thing around, which, given who he hangs around, that's very, very curious. But anyway, when he wants to, he needs to find a new antagonist, and I know people have kind of noticed that. I know people have noticed that Steve can't thrive without an antagonist. It's almost like he can't be in a hangout by himself. He needs other people to reassure him that he is smart. Yes, Steve is smart. Him has brains. So it's not that you can go to, I don't know, any of his older videos and actually listen to him while some of us are in the hangout and listen to him go, yeah, I knew that, right? Yeah, I'm smart. Yeah, uh-huh. You won't find that in any of the videos that Steve did about 2 years ago at all, ever. Anyway, his new target of his ire is interesting. So none of us are surprised that their YouTube channels is kind of dedicated to spilling the tea, as one would say. As definitely a very, very gay, very, very young term here in good old the US of A. But that's what Steve has dedicated his time to now, because that's not drama for some reason. You can spill the tea about drama, but his channel is not about drama. Still trying to figure that one out. But there are channels dedicated to just that. Cool. Awesome. And they do exposés on other channels and other social media platforms and everything and whatnot. Okay, cool. Awesome. The shit's entertaining. It's awesome. You know what? If you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. It's not for everybody. But I'm trying to square this circle. So when you find a channel like this, for whatever reason, and it's populated by a lot of younger folks, and I don't mean, early 20s, mid-early 20s. I mean like young women, 18, 17, 16 years old, high school age, maybe just out of high school. It's a little weird. For a man in his, he is middle-aged. By the very definition, if I'm not mistaken, very much so middle-aged. To be spending, what was it? Someone counted 17 hours online trying to disagree or dissuade 17-year-old girls. But what makes things even better is that now the anti-SJW champion is now a champion. He's a paragon. Excuse me. He's no longer a champion for the anti-SJW crowd. He is now a paragon of anti-cyberbullying. Maybe it's just me because I've been around for as long as Steve has decided to crack his dick hole about anything on the internet, that I find that incredibly ironic, given his previous position, given things that he said in my presence. He is now concerned with cyberbullying. That's weird. He didn't care about it when we were harassing G-Man, and mind you folks, I fully admit that some of the shit that I did to G-Man would be considered harassment. Not even going to pretend like it's fucking not. So it's okay when Steve participates in stuff like that. It's okay when Steve exploits people for that purpose. But now he is concerned because he doesn't have a mob of dick suckers larger than the, I guess, mob or the army or whatever, we're going to use for the folks over at Creep Show Art. I believe that's her title. And I've listened to a little bit, and it's like, okay, yeah, she's giving her opinion on social media stuff. She thinks some folks are spoofing algorithms and shit like that. So she is just telling you like it is. She's telling you what she found and her ire towards whatever person online, Trisha Paytas, what have you, whatever, right? Not a big deal. So this 50-year-old fucking man is concerned with what with this girl and her following. It's just, it seems like why? Because there's a drama going on between an Instagram person who is a teenager and her momager. Steve has to insert himself in this realm of 15, 16, and if y'all are from Creep Show folks, if I get your age wrong, I apologize. I just say younger than me. I know there's a fucking boomer joke in there somewhere, but I'm gonna touch on that later. But my God, is it weird? It's just fucking creepy that this 50-year-old man is sitting in his fucking drawers looking like fucking death and half filled with syphilis, half filled with Jack and Coke or rum and Coke, whatever the fuck it is that he drinks. And he's just talking to these girls for like, I think someone said 17 hours last week. 17 hours online. Wow. That is crazy to me. Like, I fucked with G-Man for a few hours online. I've questioned spending 3 to 4 hours in a hangout. But for 17 hours talking to young girls, a middle-aged man, about what? Like, what are you trying to convince them of? Because I know what's convincing me of, but that's just me. Yeah, he's only 50. Some people don't age well, folks. Some people just don't age well at all, especially when they're not doing good in life. But it is funny to me. I think it's sad. I think it's sad. I think it's fucking creepy. I'm not gonna lie. If I was the father of one of these girls, I'd be concerned too. Like, what? So what of all the stuff on the internet that you could be involved in, and the stuff in your own kid's life that you could occupy yourself with, you're spending that much time around these girls, and for what purpose? Are you trying to dissuade them from doing something? You gonna step in and be the daddy figure? What is the goal here, right? Because I'm looking at the comments and I'm seeing this guy's creepy. Who is this guy? Why does he think he important? Like, what? I'm looking and it's not. I'm not sure if anybody's convinced, other than the people who have their head stuck up his ass. But that doesn't surprise me at all. Most of the people who follow him aren't real critical thinkers either. Sorry, you're not. I mean, you can disagree, but I beg to fucking differ. So I don't know. Maybe there's some more context that I'm missing. Maybe I just don't know, because I've not honestly been following it a whole lot. Just being able to catch up because I'm too busy actually doing stuff in real life. So Admiral Nelson and Off-Brand Coke. Oh Jesus, is Admiral Nelson actually the name of the alcohol? Really? Jesus, man. Am I macking these college girls? These college girls that are around me are in their mid-20s, right? I don't, like, 17, 18-year-old girls really don't interest me. They don't know shit. Like, I'm not, like, in certain states that's legal, but I'm not, especially if I was 50 fucking years old, I'd feel some type of way. But that's it. If he likes he likes 17-year-old girls, I did not mean to say that. I really did not mean to say that. That wasn't a joke. But if he likes talking to 17, 18-year-old girls, if that makes him feel like he's doing something, then cool. I hope he convinces them of whatever it is that he's trying to convince them of, but I don't think they're feeling it. I really don't think that it's a good look for him. But I mean, it's Steve. Like, he thinks him breathing is a good look for him. I mean, this is the plastic jug. Ew, Jesus. Oh, Sam, quit being a dick, cocksucker. Yeah. Oh my God. Are y'all still fighting in the fucking chat? Jesus. So, here's what's crazy to me. Here's what's crazy to me. Is that there are adults. Now get this. There are adults, people around his age that are watching this, and they aren't saying shit. Like, there's a few people from what I understand are going, hey, you need to stop, and then he flipped the fuck out, and he puts that person in line, and everybody else shuts the fuck up. I'm just like, wow. Nessic, I don't know what the fuck, Talagalatel, I have no idea how to even say that, man. I have no idea what the fuck that is. It's, like, it amazes me how complicit folks get. It just amazes me, because it's like, I don't like it. I think somebody had said in the chat earlier, because I got a bunch of stuff over here. This is interesting on a few different fronts, right? Because there is a certain level of seriousness that some people take this shit, but it's in respect to the online presence versus what they're actually doing in real life. Like, I get on here and I talk shit for 2-3 hours, whatever, like total, like a week. If you actually calculate how often I'm like doing streams like this, you may get 3, maybe 4 hours out of my entire week. And it gets relegated to that. Because think about what I'm doing in real life. Just this weekend, I was getting drunk with Arn Raw. I was fucking talking to Dr. Sakibu Hutchinson. I was associating myself with many different types of alcohols and different types of people from Florida, which I'm not a huge fan of Florida Man, but you know what? Some of them are cool. I got to meet Skylar Fiction finally. Like, we're doing shit. Doing shit at least that matters to me. At least to me. Right? Getting outside the house. And I almost had a chance to meet CRISPR. Could not meet Dark Matter, but that's for next time. So that's just that. I guess that's the way I look at it. I mean, I can just easily mention, well, yeah, I'm working on research for amino acid synthesis and metacargo trunculata. But I mean, that's like, okay, cool, awesome, cool. Some people care, some people don't. There's a video of me that Pew has yet to send to me where I'm drunkenly explaining random like molecular biology things because people were asking me questions and I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm enterococcus. And so I'm just like fucking up all kinds of stuff. And they're just like, yeah, yeah, I went to the bathroom to take a piss and I went, I am absolutely wrong about that. But I was confident. That's all that mattered. So it is crazy. What people think, I guess, really matters. But look, I understand. I sympathize, or is it empathize or sympathize? No. I empathize. I know this is not art. This is Atlas. It's very close. I empathize with Steve because it's quite clear that he has gone nowhere in life. Absolutely fucking nowhere. And because people want me to qualify that, I mean in real life. That's just so we're clear. Just so there are no illusions about what I'm actually referencing, because some people haven't been watching me very long, and so they don't know when I say actually doing stuff and I start using that word, I mean physically in the real fucking world outside a goddamn computer. Just so we know. Just so I am absolutely goddamn clear on what I'm referencing. Steve is a goddamn nobody. It doesn't matter where he goes. Unless he's going to one of his dick suckers' house where they can suck him off, he's a goddamn nobody. Nobody fucking cares how smart he thinks he is. I, on the other hand, don't have that. I can walk up that fucking street and there are people with PhDs that will stop. And I've said this before, just as a comparison, but that's not hard. That's not some miraculous fucking feat that I've accomplished over years and years of fucking, like meditation and study. No. I've done just above the bare minimum to be recognized as somebody who's not absolute shit. It's like being the tallest midget in an ass-kicking contest. What does the ass-kicking contest have to do with it? Absolutely nothing. I just wanted to throw that in there. So, but you think about this shit for a second. You think about the statements that, at least for me, that I've heard, because I was a bit shocked that, because again, I watched some of this person, and I can't remember her name, but the girl's name who she runs the Creep Show channel, and evidently Steve was commenting on her level of education, and that he had started trying to posture about his education. Let me clear something up for those of you who have never served the military. I'm about to clear something up real quick because this was strange to me. And it's weird that, and to my knowledge, people who also served aren't checking him on this, but I don't expect them. Like, some of them were shit soldiers and sailors too, so I don't, having integrity is not something that everybody has. I got that. Steve has a high school education, okay? Steve MCrae has a high school education, okay? What he received in the military is training. There's a difference between being trained on something and being educated in it. You can be trained on how to operate a machine and not be fully educated or even partially educated on how it actually fucking works. There's a huge difference. That's why there's no direct program for which you can simply slide into the position that you were in the military. That's why you typically, in the majority of fucking jobs, need a certification from a civilian institution. That is why you need a degree. That's why people in his particular rate need to continue to go to school. And being in the best nuclear engineering program in the country would be Ann Arbor, Michigan. The university, that is. that actual engineering degree. So just so we're very clear on that. And mind you, my cousin was a nuke, right? It's not anything at all that's controversial, but I guess when you're dealing with folks who are kind of iffy about how to handle, I'm a veteran, people pulling that card, sometimes you need other veterans to kind of step in to beat back the bullshit. Steve MCrae has a high school education, okay? I have a degree, and I am one semester away from getting a second degree. I've actually had an entire course at the graduate level. That's it. That's all I have so far. And I'm working on undergraduate level research in biochemistry. If you want to actually dick measure, you need a dick to do it. But trying to chastise 18, 19-year-old girls on their level of education when you are 50 fucking years old isn't a good look. You've had several decades before they've even been born to obtain more education than them. They've not even been alive long enough to try and have more education than somebody of that age. But why is it that this grown-ass man needs to be obsessed with these 17, 18-year-old girls online, but then also posture about their supposed level of fucking intellect when their brains aren't even fully formed yet, technically? And that's not to throw shade, that's not to denigrate any of those folks at all. That's just a biological fact. So if you're going to posture, if you're going to stunt on folks of that nature, how about you take a hint? If you are going to do that, find somebody in your age range and with your, I guess, level of education to try and stunt on. I'm just saying. I find it funny, right? I find it really funny. Look, if you don't think it's a big deal, then you don't think it's a big deal. That's on you. But if Steve can comment on stuff like that, then I'm going to comment on what he can comment on, right? If you disagree, if you think it's cool, if you think that, trying to compare your knowledge to that of a 17, 18-year-old girl, if that's applicable, then explain to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm absolutely wrong. But explain. Just don't say, no. This is a thinking area here. This is what we do around here is thinking. I will actually, if you need a link to the Discord, if you want me to end this and I can open up StreamYards and you want to actually discuss it, I can do that, right? Because I'm fully capable of being wrong about stuff. But just offering an opinion and not backing it up, like uninformed opinions don't mean shit to me. Informed opinions mean something to me. People making salient points mean something to me. But that's the difference in crowds. That's the difference in the environment that you foster with the people around you. And that is why he will be relegated to just talking about fucking drama. Like, come on now. Like, it's quite obvious. What's Jeremy Pace saying? Steve is getting some dragon nuts. Yeah, I mean, hey. No, there's nothing that I can say that's going to somehow mean much of anything to him. Because the dude's probably going through a midlife crisis. Like, I'm just going to be sympathetic as much as I can. He's not done anything in his fucking life. He's not doing anything now other than entertaining a crowd of people who, for some strange reason, want to live vicariously through him. Which, I get it, if that's what you want to do in life, that's a goal, then okay, cool. I would pick somebody else who's done a little bit more in real life, but that's kind of the environment that we're in. Because you have to think of this. There are people who look up the G-Man. There are people who feel inspired by a G-Man, and we know who some of these folks are. One of them was what's his face? He hangs around Darth Dawkins now, but one of the people was Antonio. Well, from what I could tell, Antonio's doing better in life than G-Man. But for some reason, guess what? Antonio was looking up to him. And I said, why? Because Antonio and I actually had this conversation. It's not anything incredibly private. Like, I'm not, being very forthcoming with privileged information. But it got distilled down into one word. One word, and I still don't really understand. Bold, or boldness, I should say. Boldness. Because he's bold. And I'm like, does that really stand out? Does that really make you overlook
I stole $3,000.
like the fucked up things people do and say? someone being bold. I can be bold. I can go out in the street, ass naked, and lay in the road. That's bold. But what does that really mean? And so it's come to my attention that there are, and I'm just going to give you my YouTube online internet viewer psychology. Look here, I don't even know what to call it. Who's sending me money? Who is this? Poor little boomer. He's going to cry later and accuse you of elder abuse. He can elder abuse these nuts. So here's what I think. I think that they're like people come to these platforms for different reasons. Some come for entertainment. A few come for education, or I should say information. Some do. Some come for education. I don't know why, but they do. There's a few lectures you can find, but some people live vicariously through the people they watch. $3,000. And it's a strange thing. Oh my God, it's a lot of ships. It's a strange thing to me because I've never really said that I wanted to do something like that. But there are people that I've met online that I'm definitely envious of, especially if they're Australian and they date supermodels. But there are people that I can consider to be envious of. So in that aspect, I definitely get it. Y'all trying to make me fucking sink. Who is this? Tell a story how Steve tried making money off you. So it's not even a story, and it's not even like my story to sell. Like people in the chat here remember, in the same way that Steve has on his Nick Suter and some of these other cats, right? Steve can't be in a hangout by himself because he's boring. He needs people to play off of, which, okay, he's not that talented, right? And when he is discussing young earth creationism, polonium halos with Nephi or somebody like that, then he has a target. He has somewhere that he can shift the attention away from him and onto that other person. So when he's not in the midst of discussing a topic with an adversary, there are people like me and Scientist Sam and Fiona and CRISPR and Rational Mind or Jade that we're discussing topics in science, and he can barely comment on some of them with his high school fucking education. So trying to convince all of us that he's smart, and us going, yes, Steve, yes, he's a pat on the head, yes, you know what a T5 fucking Faj is. There we go. You win a goddamn cookie, Steve. Like, that is something that he found marketable. And so as he's designing this great debate community shit, he says, okay, well, I'm going to monetize this, and oh, well, you guys will get subscribers, and you guys you'll get money too. Well, Steve, hold on for a second. If you're banking money off of our discussions, and you claim that people are just going to go to our channels to watch discussions, but you've centralized it all on this channel, they're paying double for the same thing. That doesn't make sense. And so, because the people that I named aren't fucking idiots, we decided to remove ourselves from somebody who's clearly a fucking grifter. And when people call Steve a grifter, they're right. Steve is a grifter. Steve MCrae is a fucking grifter. If you have a problem with that, please see me. I will make time for you to explain exactly how and why that is. I will have more than one person available to help reinforce that. But please, I can't wait. I love Steve Dick Suckers. I love you to death because you know absolutely fucking nothing. I love you. But I digress. I find it very interesting, though. Very interesting. Well, all the people who are complacent, like Steve is just a malignant narcissist. That's not even a questionable thing. And I will agree to a very small degree that I myself suffer from a bit of the ego. I have not a problem at all acknowledging that. It's that I surround myself with people who are going to say something, people who aren't afraid to openly challenge me. Not like the time that Scientist Sam decided that, well, you know what? I'm going to treat Steve the same way that I treat Drag, and I treat Pew, and I treat Immutable Destiny, and everybody else. And that if correction is offered for literally everyone else, why is Steve, for some strange reason, going to be immune to criticism? And so I had to broker a fucking deal between Scientist Sam and Steve because Steve literally got upset that Scientist Sam was correcting him live. He didn't have an issue with the corrections and the criticism. No. The issue that it was live and people could hear it. That was the issue. And you'll notice that Steve won't talk about shit like that because it's embarrassing for him. But when you surround yourself with people who you trained, and some of these folks are trained pretty well, and I have to give it to them. Steve should have went into the dog training business. When you have them trained on what to say and what not to say publicly, you've done yourself a great service. A great service, because you padded the entire arena with enough cushion so that your ego doesn't get bruised. And man, oh man, is it effective? Is it effective? This guy who can barely shit right somehow found a way to surround himself with enough fucking supplicants so that his ego is never really bruised, that they can push back on something very slightly. It's a lot like Veckel does G-Man, right? Well, brother G-Man, I don't know about that, brother G-Man. And that, like, no, hold on for a second. when I'm gonna hang out with you, you go on for 10 or 15 minutes about why you think I'm wrong about what I'm wrong, which is fine, which is what everybody should do, no matter if you like me or not, doesn't matter. But he won't do that with G-Man. He'll kiss him on the tip, pat him on the head, and whisper no. And I'm like, what kind of bullshit is this? Really? Are you really that afraid? Yes. Yes, they are. But you shouldn't be surprised. You should not be surprised. But that's fine. It is what it is at the end of the day. It's funny, but it's sad. But it's also creepy. At least the 17, 18-year-old girl aspect of it really is, like, really creepy. But, hey, if that's how Steve gets his rocks off and, targeting girls and women, then you know what? It's probably best that he is single and stays single until somebody with a vagina wants to take one for the team and lock that down. Go for it. You have my blessing. Make sure you take your penicillin. You don't look clean. But it is always interesting to me to kind of armchair psychologize some of these folks. I think it's I do think it's pretty funny though. So anyway, how are y'all doing today? I actually just came out of a art history exam, learning about Fabio's people, the Etruscans and the Romans and the Greeks and shit like that, and how they created stuff and things and everything and whatnot. It's very interesting. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. I didn't know there was a Berber emperor of Rome. I didn't know that. Septimus Severus, I think his name was. Didn't know that. But learn all kind of cool shit when you actually go to fucking school and not just have training from the military that's decades old. It's amazing that, right? Y'all like my battleship? I don't know what that is on the front of it, but that's something. I don't know what the fuck that is. So, what else did I name this? Oh. Let me play some of this. Because I did not listen to any of this shit.
I know a bunch of you people in y'all community that support your theory that can't prove your theory. And then there's a ton of laymen. I'll be naming names here for until the end of days. By the way, Jungle Jargon, good job on your debate at debunking these guys.
I think he debated
I'm not making this video to be hateful, but for crying out loud, I want atheists to be consistent. Like, I'm honestly and truthfully sick and tired of hearing you guys say that you care about evidence and you never provide it for us when we want proof for the theory of evolution. And now, one of the biggest cop-outs in your community, for those of you evolutionists and atheists, one of the biggest cop-outs for you guys is this. I'm not going to debate nobody that ain't on my level. If they don't have the same education I have, I'm not going to debate them. You ain't fooling nobody with that, okay? The reason why you're trying to have that attitude is because you don't want to debate the theory of evolution. Because if that's true, and Matt Dillahunty really felt that way, then you would certainly accept the debate with Dr. Ken Hovind on the topic of evolution, one of the weakest topics that you can talk to Matt Dillahunty about, because the man stinks at the topic.
Actually,
and I'm going to call the
pretty
well. Experience again and prove it. Oh, I'm sorry. All of you will think you won because you're done. And all of you are going to be like, yay! You got to wait for the debate to actually happen. Point, counterpoint. Then he can do that, and he'll do something. Matt Dillahunty's an idiot. I'm sorry, guys, but he's an idiot. Just like when I went on Inside the Nation, and they had me on the hot seat where I had to sit there and answer a bunch of questions. They deceived the audience into believing that was a debate. That wasn't a debate. That was me answering questions. That's all that was. But people are like, yay, you made me look like an idiot, yay! No, you didn't. You exposed yourself as being a bunch of fools.
I fucked up.
That's what you did. But you atheists need to come clean. Evolution is not it's not science for you guys. You guys worship science. You worship scientists. Okay? You believe everything that comes out of these people's mouth.
I believe everything.
If they told you that they had a pill you could take tomorrow, if you jump off the Empire State Building, you can start flapping your wings and flying like a little birdie, a lot of you atheists would be lining up at the stores, taking that pill, getting ready to...
Ooh, shit.
Because you're gullible. You're not gullible? I'm being mean? Great. Where is your fossil record? Where is your tree of life? Why don't you understand that Lucy's a forgery?
Mind you, we've taken this guy to see
how
Lucy
would have looked based on the amount of bone that they have. They found a dead monkey. Get that through your head. Evolution is the reason why we have racism here in the world today. Because you got one race believing that they're better than another. That is because it's a theory of evolution. And that's your religion.
Racism didn't exist before.
That's why you guys crack me up when you guys try to talk to me about slavery and talk to me about racism and genocide and all that mess when you yourself support that kind of thing. Because what if it was beneficial to the environment?
This is just sad.
Most people who are racist believe that their group is more evolved than the other one in some shape, form, or another.
And everything and whatnot.
Well, Mr. Logos, if you're saying that Lucy is not the only remains that you have, I'll open up the room someday and we can talk about it. You can show me whatever. I mean, maybe you're talking about the Neanderthal man. Or are you guys going to be honest about what Dr. Ken Hovind said and what other scientists have said as well? Not other scientists, but other people have said about how Aborigines, human beings, were killed, and they were make believing that those bones was millions and millions of years old because they wanted a reason to validate the claim of evolution, and you can't do it because you don't got bones that old. Even your dating methods has been shown to be wrong. I gotta say this: not only is evolution a religion, but it is a dishonest religion. When you attempt to deceive people into believing that.
My chat froze up. Y'all were saying something over the last few minutes. I couldn't see it.
Now some people here are telling me, isn't it ironic that some people are telling me that I need to stop talking about the atheists and that I need to just focus on the Hebrew Israelites? Of course, the atheist is going to say that to me, or somebody who wants a can I put this, a parrot would say something like that. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. If I came on here repeating what Dr. William Lane Craig has said, or if I came on here repeating what Dr. Ken Hovind said, or if I get on here repeating what I heard another apologist say, I would be considered a good debater. I'm a good debater because
maybe he does. It looks like he's in a different place because Like a few months ago, the kitchen was in a different place, right? Look, he was sitting in the laundry room,
then the people that I'm arguing with is going to know how to.
But this looks like a different place.
What I'm saying, and let me tell you something: if these atheists are ever going to come to Jesus Christ and know Him as Lord and Savior, they got to hear something different. They got to see something different, and they got to see different angles. And I'm not about to repeat something I heard somebody else say. There's nothing original about that. There's nothing creative about that. No, I'm my own person, and I got my own mouth, and I got my own style of doing things.
I stole $3,000.
Well, you stole $3,000. See, if I'm a horrible debater, how about
G-Man's harassing teen girls? Not right now.
And there's no
he likes to harass kids.
Because that would be a colossal waste of your time.
He likes to harass kids.
Why don't you provide me evidence for your fossil record, sir?
There's videos of him doing that.
Horrible debater.
And I've actually told him to stop doing that.
And I'm still waiting for you to debunk the slavery argument on how atheists support slavery via the theory of evolution. Remember, if I'm an animal and you're an animal, then you can't own another animal.
G-Man,
I don't see any of you debunking
loosely believes that if you're outside, he can harass you.
I don't even think there's a video response of an atheist attempting to beat the argument. You want to know why?
That's me paraphrasing stuff that he said.
That's why. Tell me I'm a horrible debater. Yeah, whatever. That's why I don't read this live chat.
Live chat hurts his feelings.
I never said Lucy was the only fossil. I never said nothing like that. I never said Lucy was the only fossil. The Dr. Ken Hovind, if you happen to see this video, please keep doing what you're doing. Okay, a lot of people are benefiting from what you're doing. And by the way, I love y'all the way you guys attempt to defeat Dr. Ken Hovind in his debates. I love what you guys do lately. Here's my personal favorite that you guys do. Evolution is true because Dr. Ken Hovind doesn't pay taxes.
Literally no one said that.
Evolution isn't true because Dr. Ken Hovind had more than $10,000 on his person. Like, honestly, that's the best y'all got? How about providing the fossil record? How about proving that somewhere in my family...
So, okay, some of y'all might be wondering what the hell he's talking about. I'm pretty sure you might be a little confused and why... Okay, I don't know why that's there. So, what people have told him is that...
I stole $3,000.
Why are we... Hold on. I've got the audacity, or audacity, shameless plug, give drag your money, says Doc Savage. Thank you. I appreciate it, but I don't need it. I have plenty of dollar store lobster rolls in there to last me quite some time. But, so, people have told him that if we're relying, because what G-Man wants to do, that's why he keeps referring to Ken Hovind as Dr. Ken Hovind. G-Man knows that Ken Hovind's degree is shit. He actually does know that. That's an actual conversation he's had with folks in the past more than once. I was one of them. So, what he likes to do is to pretend as though Kent Hovind's credentials, his education is on par with literally any other scientist who actually studies evolutionary biology. He loves to pretend that everything's on the same playing field, right? So with that in mind, people have the conversation with him that, well, G-Man, if I'm just let me just buy this for a second, right? Let me just buy this nonsense. If it comes down to who I'm going to trust, I want to trust the person who doesn't have a criminal record. I'm going to trust the non-felon to giving me information. That's what people have told him. And so he's turned that into, well, if you have over $10,000, then it's not a big, that's the stupid atheist argument is just about money. Like that's what he's turned it into. He doesn't actually understand the charges about the structuring that actually occurred. He's not looked into the case. He doesn't even care. He understands that Ken Hovind went to prison, but he is amongst some of the select few who actually believe that it was a plot by the devil. No, I'm not being facetious. No, I'm not kidding. G-Man actually thinks that. He actually thinks that Ken Hovind went to jail because it was a demonic plot against him from trying to, prevent him from telling the truth about evolution and everything and whatnot. He actually thinks that. So when y'all hear stuff like this, that has to be in the back of your mind, because there's always a fucking wild conspiracy concerning any time anyone's done anything bad that exists in that little weird microcosm he calls a mind. So, Red Lobster for lunch, like, well, you know what? Jason, get that bitch some cheddar biscuits. I hear bitches love cheddar biscuits. You heard it from me. So, it's really, see you later, Mel. It's really interesting when he tries to spin these yarns about what people are doing and who's... And what's weird about this, he actually did, now that I think about it, he did a stream this morning about conspiracies. Well, one of the charges against Hovind was a conspiracy to commit fraud. Very interesting. Very interesting. And so I'm going to have to hit up Nate in a bit and ask him, because I know Nate has like the actual names of the charges and the criteria. Law's not my thing. I'm not going to pretend like I'm some fucking legal analyst when that's not my wheelhouse. So I'm going to go turn to one because he has that type of information. That's cool. So, but I want to say one of the charges was conspiracy to commit fraud. And so G-Man, supposedly he's having a hangout, I think tonight. Yeah, I think it's tonight. He's having a hangout about conspiracies because G-Man believes that all atheists want bestiality to be legal. And where he got that from, I have no fucking idea. Like, it's usually, when you hear him say stupid shit like that, it's usually he heard one person that doesn't claim to be a Christian say something kind of wild, some kind of crazy, and then he just runs with it. He'll just presume that that's what that person believes, and also that person speaks for literally everyone else he doesn't like. It doesn't really matter. He doesn't actually have to have evidence. G-Man's never needed evidence to make claims. So G-Man intuits scenarios that would seem to kind of comport to what he thinks he views. And I know that's really vague, but that's the best way that I can articulate it to folks. It's not that he is intentionally trying to be disingenuous. He's just almost inadvertently disingenuous because he's married to a lot of like just completely erroneous things, and it also doesn't help that he is obviously mentally lacking. So that goes without saying. That goes without saying. So because we're all animals, and some other crazy thought makes him into bestiality. Yeah, I'm not. I'll listen to the whole thing later. On the other show thing that I do, I don't know what I even call it. My drag reviews. That's what it is. When my drag reviews, I'll review that. And yeah, Shannon Q had mentioned on Twitter that somehow James roped her into a discussion with G-Man, a debate, if you will, with G-Man. Actually, let me talk a little bit about that, because of course I got something to say. I got something to say about that. It's cool. Like, if you are trying to be entertaining, cool, right? Let's throw some shit together. Let's put people in an arena and let's see what happens, Nadia style. Because Nadia had 24-hour hangouts, 24-hour, where you could go in and chop it up with whoever, people from all around the fucking world, literally. People said that debates occurred there. Now, people were debating topics very, very loosely. And I think that we get in the habit of trying to consider the discussions that we have here actual debates, and they're not. Like, let me be very, very clear. The vast majority of us aren't having debates here on the internet. And when I say debates, actual structured debates, because it's missing a very, very, very key component. And I was actually talking to Scientist Mel about this some time ago, where somebody was trying to challenge her to a debate, and she's like, I don't debate. I got shit to do with my hair. And it's like, you know what? if you want to make it worth your time, Mel, here's what needs to happen: have an actual debate. And you can ask. I think Mel took off, but y'all can ask her. I told her that if you feel really strongly about this topic and you want to change minds, part of the way that people can change their minds is through debate. I'm not going to pretend like that's not a thing, but most often there's a key component missing to that, and that is both parties or all parties involved exchanging the evidence that they have that backs their position. So you can enumerate any number of points that you're going to make, just the highlights of whatever your central thesis is. You give that to your interlocutor way ahead of time. Then you give them the evidence that backs it. So there's none of this ambush bullshit that happens in the vast majority of these conversations. Because think about this for a second. Think of all the debates that you've seen on modern day debates. Think of the ones that you've seen on, hell, any other channel. It really doesn't matter. How many of you walked away changing your mind about a topic? Like genuinely feeling like, you know what? I was edified. I learned something from that. And when I say learn something, you should be able to articulate what you learned, your position before, your position afterwards, and the evidence that you use to eventually change your mind on that. Not just passively mention, oh, I heard medicago trunculata. That's not learning, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about genuinely being edified with information that you've taken in from two people having a discussion. Very few people can say that they've done that. Very, very few. But that's because of the way that these debates occur. It's that, well, I have a feeling about this topic. Well, I have a feeling about this topic. Well, perfect example. Actually, I need to finish. I was starting to watch the debate between Vaush and I think it was Adam Friended. I think the guy's name was something Friended. At the very beginning, Vaush lays out how he defines his particular political fucking paradigm with his version of socialism and yada yada yada, and he drew a distinction between kind of the colloquial version of socialism that's mentioned in politics and social media. He drew a stark distinction. I sat and I listened to that, right? And so they spent way too long afterwards elucidating that difference when that should have been discussed way ahead of time. We shouldn't be like, we should have the initial statement from each of the people involved to the audience explaining what it is. Here's my position. Let me elucidate on it just a little bit so that you know what I'm talking about specifically. That's it. After that, you are engaging your interlocutor on those points that you enumerated ahead of time using the evidence that you also gave them. And because it's baffling to me that people think that they're somehow going to catch up. They're going to play catch up in the middle of a debate with information that they don't have access to immediately. Like, do you have another monitor? You're sitting there, you're looking up the study that this guy's mentioning, and he's on page 4 of this fucking study you've never heard of. You're still trying to get access to it. Like, come on. Like, that's not how this shit works. If we want to actually have debates, then everybody has to be on board. Because ultimately, it's the audience that decides who had a stronger position. So, I understand that sex with sheep is how humans first contracted syphilis. Well, that's probably right. Probably, I don't know. That's my big issue. And so, I don't think that debate between Mel and that other person ever happened because, well, he couldn't actually provide evidence for, and this is my understanding, is that he couldn't actually provide evidence for what he was talking about. That should tell you something. That should tell you a lot. But the question is, well, Drag, what about your debate with G-Man? It wasn't a debate. Like, we can call it a debate. It wasn't a debate. It wasn't. Like, if I would have known that this idiot was using or was going to use a fictitious website, I can't even call it a satirical website, a website dedicated to satire, literally, to satire, we would have had a whole conversation just based on that way ahead of time because I wouldn't have wasted my fucking time. A satirical fucking website. And you think about that. That's kind of the level of stuff that we're working with here. But then again, it's just like, come on, we're debating G-Man. We shouldn't really expect anything more. And I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree with people who say that. I'm right there with you. Messenger reveals, oh man, this should be enlightening. Dragnet, I must say I agree 100% regarding these debates. At the same time, people just want the shit show with their champion prevailing. So of course, I don't agree. And I actually agree with Messenger on that. That's people want the shit show. And I understand that because this is referencing what I talked about earlier. A lot of folks are here just for the entertainment. And that's fine. There's nothing actually wrong with that. Because a part of me finds it interesting because there's always a subgroup of viewers. So if you were to take all the viewers on the YouTubes, everybody, there are a vast majority of people who are watching mostly to be entertained. And let's say 70-30, watching to be entertained, and that the remainder 30%, they want to be edified just a little bit. Now, how they're edified, I phrase it like that on purpose because it doesn't necessarily mean that they want to learn something. Just that they want to feel encouraged or they want to feel affirmed by what they're hearing. Hence, Flat Earth debates. The vast majority of people who watch Flat Earth debates know nothing of the fucking math, and I said the geometry you need in order to debunk some of this stuff. Or some of the fallacious arguments that are made in order to supply the facts behind Flat Earth. I'm going to put that in air quotes. So they want to feel edified. They want to feel like they're on the right side of that. And that's it. That's really, really it. But within that sphere of people that I mentioned, the folks who want to be entertained, there are a smaller group of people that persist. And I couldn't give you a rough estimate by any measure, even though I did for the other one, because it fluctuates. And I've seen this over the years of the people that say, I'm here strictly for intellectual discussion. And that baffles the shit out of me. Because why would you come to YouTube for intellectual discussion? The vast majority of views and likes and subscribers and all that bullshit by any measure are for things of entertainment. People aren't hosting grand forums of fucking intellectual merit or however you want to fucking phrase it on YouTube. You can go to a goddamn lecture hall in your local area. There are moderated discussions that happen in townships everywhere. There are places where people meet up to actually do these things. But I know why. People are fucking lazy. They're not going to go out and actually find any of this stuff. It's easy to sit here on the internet and pretend to put on airs. You want to feel like you are a part of something more than just the average person. And there are definitely lots of people that I've encountered who want to feel that they are intellectually superior to the people who are here. Everyone else is here. They're watching makeup videos. They're watching gameplay stuff. Guess the fuck what? Any of the viewers that I get are dwarfed. I get less than a percent of a fraction, or fraction of a percent actually, than any gamer on any platform. The majority, there's 4,000 people watching one guy on Twitch right now play a game that they have access to. Well over 4,000. Some people 15,000. So you have to sit and think for a second. What are these platforms largely used for? Not for intellectual discussion. That's not to say that they can't happen, that they can't occur, obviously. But I'll tell you from personal experience, most of them happen offline. I've had numerous conversations with Ozzy. Some of you can't even count the number of conversations you've seen me have with Ozzy. And I use Ozzy because he's a guy that everyone recognizes. But think about that for a second. The majority of the conversations I've had with Ozzy have been off air. Doing off air Google Hangouts, Facebook, the Facebook call, whatever it is, and over in Discord. Vast majority of conversations I've had with him. That's because some of the best conversations I've ever had with most people of an intellectual nature were not broadcasted. There was no audience for people. And Think about that for a second. That is something that is really interesting, and that's something that myself and Sock and others have observed for quite some time. The best conversations happen off air. Some of the best ones. The ones that have challenged me the most have been off air. And it's interesting. It's not that people somehow, just change all of a sudden, but it's just there's not a lot of focus on people who are right here talking. There's not a live chat to distract people. There are simply the people that you are discussing topics with, and that you're not in debate, so you're not being forced to think about losing face or anything like that. But it is part of the reason why, Ozzy doesn't, debate anybody. Like you'll have a discussion with him, but he wants his ideas challenged and he wants to challenge other people's ideas. But it shouldn't become a competition between who's smarter and who's not, because quite frankly, I don't give a shit. Like I really don't. Like it's because I think that oftentimes when people hear me, they think that I'm absolutely completely fucking serious. Every time I come on here, even when I explicitly say that I'm not being serious and that you shouldn't actually care what the fuck I say. But for some reason people do, and I don't know why. But it's I try to surround myself online and in person, if you've not noticed, with people who will call me on bullshit. When you're online and you're concerned with trying to sound smarter than everybody else or trying to be the big dick in the room or the big clitoris in the room, you tend not to do that, because your goal online, and you'll notice this, and I'll use an example of true empiricism. Neffy is a good example. Neffy changed the way that he had hangouts because of how the environment of Google Plus started to shift. True empiricism, likewise, started changing how they engage with people. Brett Keane started a lot earlier than most folks, but there was a shift that occurred because back in the day, back when I was still on like Vaughn TV with Dark Matter and Live Life and Coctopus, you would have these guys open up hangouts and say, hey, come on in, because they believed that they could just smash atheist heads left, right, and center. Because the demographic of YouTube atheists, this is back, 7, 8 years ago, it was a lot different. You had people who weren't as well versed in a lot of these arguments, people who weren't that familiar with this scene, and so people knew that, I have the right position on this, and this guy, this drunk guy Neffy is saying all kind of wild stuff. I should be able to go in and smash his face in. Didn't always happen like that, and Neffy ended up getting one up on him because he was thrown. People, and I say thrown, people were shuttled in, right? So hey, come talk to this guy, into an environment where he heard the same arguments over and over again, so he got good at beating them back. Same thing with true empiricism. True empiricism had his centerpiece, his argument, his thesis. Look at this one thing within the entire realm of molecular biology. This ATP synthase, I can memorize the subunits of it. Well, good fucking too. Also, hey, True, by the way, have you memorized glycolysis and all the intermediates, all the structures, all the enzymes too? I have. Who the fuck cares? What does that have to do with your argument? You didn't have people that were ready for that type of dialogue. People came in thinking that they were just going to sit down and exchange assertions with one another. They didn't think that they were truly going to be challenged. And you know what? Maybe that's just some of the naivety of some of these folks. And I admit at one point in time, I was one of them. At full admission, sure. But once you found out that, man, these guys have they have an entire narrative about what they believe, and they're mentioning polonium halos, and they're mentioning, fucking ATP synthase. Like, I don't know. It's that because you didn't have people who were in some of these fields in the environment teaching people. But as time went on, we started seeing more and more folks be exposed to the true empiricisms and the Veckles and the G-Man and the Neffys and stuff like that and everything and whatnot. What you begin to see is those same people who couldn't wait to get people in their hangouts start to become really selective on who they let in. Well, why is that? There was a huge change. You started seeing more censorship happen when they were on the ropes. Neffy is good for that because Neffy worked with the Gish Gallop. That was his thing. He could talk for 50 goddamn minutes, and then you had to hit each and every point, to the point that I used to, and this is an admission, this is go back in the day, when I used to talk to Neffy, I'd always have a notepad next to me, because in the military you have to actually keep one, and you'd have, a pen, I have a pencil, but I'd write down points, and I would start going through each of them. Each of the points, I would actually enumerate all the points that he had made in his own argument, because he wasn't used to people addressing them, because just so you could only remember the first, second, maybe like the last point that he made, and then he would go back and say, oh, well, you failed to address this, and this. Well, Neffy, you've been talking for 50 goddamn minutes. Like, no one talks like that in real life. No one sits there and listens to that like an entire lecture, and then you go back and try to address something someone said 20 minutes ago? Really? No one actually does that. And so Neffy took advantage of that. When Neffy couldn't do that anymore, and that people started showing that, you know what, we're going to put some constraints on how long each person can talk, you stop seeing Neffy around. You stop seeing him openly invite people in. That's why Neffy does the shit that he does now. And he'll stay in his fucking corner, because he hadn't learned anything almost over the past decade. Has learned nothing. Just like true empiricism. True empiricism used to wow people with the ATP synthase thing. But then one of us got the bright idea, and one of us, that being me, to actually have a transcript of what he's saying, because he took a page out of Neffy's book, and so he wasn't going to use Neffy's lunar bukkake argument. He wanted to have one of his own. So he took that outdated fucking nursing book, found ATP synthase, made it his. And so we called it ATP mayonnaise, because he spreads it around everywhere. Yes, Neffy's a big drinker. Those hangouts aren't really around anymore, but Neffy used to get drunk every fucking night. He doesn't like when people mention that, but he was pissed fucking drunk every night. But I mean, it is what it is. I don't think he still does that, but I mean, he can be upset if he wants to. I used to be skinny, so yeah. But it's interesting, because when you took, it's fucking hot in here. Hold on for a second. Okay. All right. That. Turn the fan on. All right. When you actually sat down and you typed out, and I actually did this. I actually sat down and I listened to a conversation he had, with, it was Max Hangs Out. He goes by another name now. We used to call him Epicurus. Max Hangs Out. I'm trying to think of his name now. Something Episcopalian or Anglican. I don't know. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Some of y'all do. It doesn't matter. And I typed out Max's statements, and I typed out Ronnie's statements, true empiricism. And I included everything. All the ums and ers and all of it. All of it. I included all of it. Every last bit of it. He was upset that I included all of that. But, I didn't want him to claim that I was being dishonest with me, transcribing what he was saying. So I included all of it. But the thing was, he couldn't disagree that the nonsense that there was something that he was trying to get across that nobody understood, and it had to do with, well, it's not just chemistry, because that was a common line from him, is that DNA is not just chemistry, and these structures are not just chemistry. Let me tell you, folks, I have no idea what the fuck that actually means. Until I had to sit down, it almost took me a week to think about what some of that stuff was supposed to be getting across. And I finally somewhat figured out what he was talking about. And that's, there are molecules, and then there's stuff called macromolecules. When you have molecules on top of molecules on top of molecules, right? They form macromolecules. Because DNA is largely considered a macromolecule, he is saying that it's at a tier above regular molecules, just like I say salt. Like the difference between and like sodium chloride. Salt versus the structures of DNA. And I was like, is that it? Is that really all that you're trying to fucking get it? Like, duh. Like, I'm like, this isn't something that's miraculous. Okay, yes. Or like something that has a structure in organic chemistry or even in inorganic chemistry can be simpler than other structures. Like I don't like it's when it hits you, it's just like, is that all? Like he did like 10 minutes of fucking talking just to say DNA is nifty. And thank you, Hogtie Champ, for that summation. That really, if you can go back and listen to anything, literally anything that True Empiricism has said to anybody, anytime he starts mentioning it's more than just chemistry, you hear him mention ATP synthase. There was one other thing that he'd mentioned too, and I can't remember right now. But all of that comes down to that thing there is nifty. It looks cool. It has structure. Awesome. What else? Well, he figured that he can't really make an argument like that. And it was, yeah, long chain polymers, yeah, and the secondary and the tertiary quaternary structures that those polymers form. That's what he's talking about. It's more than just chemistry. That's so if you didn't know, that's what I'm referring to. But when you challenge him to make that connection, because we all know the conclusion, there is structure here, there's form there, and there's structure and form for most of the things that we make. Therefore, there's something that had to make these structures and forms. That's really it. Now, he's trying to, and this is by his own admission, he's trying to make an abductive argument. That's, again, this is out of his own fucking mouth. Trying to make an abductive argument. And so I said, because at the time I wasn't too familiar with abductive arguments. I knew deductive and inductive, right? I didn't know abductive. But after talking to folks like Dave S., Saka, Ozzy, Floyd, we all started having conversations about abductive arguments. But there's one thing that makes abductive arguments really, really, really key, right? You have to have precedent. Not president, precedent. You have to have something already occur to kind of act as a standard in order to make an abductive argument. If this is the first time you've actually seen or you're encountering a mind that's disembodied, you can't make an abductive argument for it. And so trying to explain that to True just falls upon deaf ears, because much like some other people, True Empiricism is never wrong. He can't actually take correction on any goddamn thing. Right? And when he does, he has to come to that conclusion months and months and years after people have actually called him out for it, because he has corrected himself. And I won't pretend like he hasn't. He has to wait until the heat's off, because he'd lose face. But what does this have to do with the other stuff that I'm saying? Some people are here for entertainment. Some people here they want to feel like they're superior to others. Neffy and True are two of those people. Absolutely two of those people. And so you'll notice that people will fade into obscurity when they don't get that affirmation that they obviously can't get in real life. But think about that for a second. Think about the conversation that you hear people. And I know, just listen to some of the conversations I've had when I talked to fucking Parker. I had that hangout just to embarrass him. There's no illusions about that, just so we're all clear. I did that just to embarrass him. That's it. That was for me. That was strictly for me. Because I got sick of him talking shit online. So I was like, all right, idiot. Let's have a talk. So, make him cry. But that's fine. I'm not going to pretend like that's not the thing. But it's what I find interesting, though, is this sense that, well, for some reason, everyone has to be like above board and every conversation that they have, and that, you know, this environment is for, you know, strictly for learning and for intellectual discourse. No, the fuck it's not. The vast majority of the people watching aren't here for that. So I'm not sure how people come to that conclusion. Like, was there a poll that somebody did that I missed? Because that's never been the case. And here's something that's really interesting. If that was the case, if that was even remotely true, people like G-Man wouldn't be popular. People like Ken Hovind wouldn't be popular. People like Neffy wouldn't be popular. People like True wouldn't be popular. What intellectual fucking, you know, like, anything did they provide to any conversation? They're lulz cows. So if that's what we're about, if that's what this weird little microcosm on the internet's about, why are those household names, basically, right? It doesn't make sense. None of it makes any sense. And I think that when people start trying to take themselves too seriously, that's what occurs. Because I've had people, and no, I'm not going to call you out, but I've had people, oh, Drag, you're so much better than this. You know, why are you dealing with G-Man? Well, I'm sorry, I didn't know that there was a list of elite fucking debaters that should be dealt with. But here's kind of what always gets me. It's always people who never enter hangouts themselves and have these conversations. It's always backseat debaters that have these type of opinions. Most often. I will say for a few that I can think of. Most often are the same people who won't engage in these conversations themselves. Now, if you are actually some of those folks, cool, awesome. You know what? You go and you have those conversations. Me, I like the entertainment. If I want an intellectual discourse with folks, I know who to call. I can call someone with a PhD in biochemistry right now. I can call somebody who's getting their PhD in fucking bioinformatics right now. Like, I know exactly who to contact if I want intellectual discussion of any merit, of any topic, actually. But because that doesn't happen all the time, people, I guess, feel like they're being cheated out of something. Well, if that's what you really desire, maybe you should go to fucking school. Like, there's not a nice way to say that. If that's really what you want, because what debate are you watching on here that you're being edified in that manner? Because mind you, like I mentioned before, the vast majority of debates that happen here aren't even in the correct format. They're not. If somebody can point me to one where both interlocutors have exchanged evidence, have exchanged the points, they understand each other's points, and they're going into the discussion to kind of expound upon those points and to try and poke holes in those points and to find where the merit exists and the merit doesn't exist, then fine. I would love to see that. But largely, that doesn't happen at all. It reminds me of Shannon Q actually had a discussion with Dr. Baxter Stockman, I don't know. I can't remember the guy's name. So I remember I saw Sokka in the chat, and some people were saying, yeah, this seems like a blast from the past. Didn't we have this conversation like 4 or 5 years ago? Yeah, it is. But there's a lot of people who are just now kind of realizing that this isn't the platform they thought it was. This isn't the scenario that they originally thought existed. And so it's a lot grungier, it's a lot dirtier than they originally anticipated. And it's kind of a wake-up call. You know, it's something that occurs. And yeah, I absolutely agree. People are here for the ponage. 100% true. People are here for the ponage. People are here to watch it. People are here to give it. But it's, you know, it's about finding that, where's that balance of, you know what, seeing G-Man get his face smashed in versus having Sokka and Floyd discuss the merits of meta-ethical moral relativism, right? There's different scenarios that you can pull up to have those types of conversations. Like I say scenarios, channels, shows. One that I missed dearly was I'm about to say Dogma Debate. Deeper Than Dogma. I love that fucking show. Where's Bobby? You're jealous of those who use polysyllabic words? Absolutely. I struggle with that. I'm absolutely jealous. I absolutely miss that. And I would try to rush home because back when I was in Maryland, I used to watch pieces of Deeper Than Dogma while I was still at work because I used to close the store. And I could never really catch all of it, unfortunately. But Xbox Fiend and Sokka have had life changes, and I've not even seen Xbox Fiend in quite some time. And that was a show because Floyd used to be on there. You know, I think Ozzy was on there a few times, if I remember correctly. And that's where you could sit down and actually learn something in the realm of philosophy. And I actually do miss that. But once we kind of lost Google Plus and people started kowtowing to folks because of likes and views and shit, we've seen a decrease in the quality of content. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, you know, I'm somehow offering, you know, like why is there a fucking hurricane near me? Okay. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like my channel, like this channel here, is just premium intellectual content. It's not. Like, this is labeled, it's been labeled entertainment. It's going to be entertainment. You learn something on here, awesome. If you want to talk about some biochemistry, sure, if you want to. But look, anytime I start discussing, people's eyes glaze over. Oh shit. Oh. Philosophy of biology, the meanings of function in biology and the problematic case of de novo gene emergence. Really? Evolutionary biology. Huh. Why have I not heard of this journal? Thank you, sir. We'll do it. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Awesome. All right. So, yeah, I'm checking my message. My phone didn't go off for some reason, but I need to contact Arn, actually. Give me 2 seconds, folks. Yeah, Nadia, like, one thing I liked about Nadia, well, the Hangouts. I just read something on my Facebook. Just ignore me. Even though you're watching me, ignore me. One of the nice things about what Nadia did, Nadia provided a place for people to cut their teeth. Now, Nadia was openly biased about who she let in. She made no bones about that. If you donated money to her, if you Nadia, you're absolutely right, Nadia. I love you. I support you. Everything that you do, Nadia. Nadia would play favorites. I didn't do that, but for some reason I was one of. Well, I'm not gonna. I know exactly why I was one of Nadia's favorite, because I would come in and I would kick people's ass, and people would see me in the hangout, and then they would come in, you know. So I drew crowds. So that's why. But it is what it is, right? I can't really be mad. She wanted the notoriety. She wanted to host the shit. You know, she wanted people to know about it. So you have to have the right combination of folks. Like, it's all about, like, hangout composition was a thing. You really need it. And I'm going to go on another tangent. If you had Sokka, JD, Hogtie, and Ozzy all in the same hangout, you're not going to get a fucking word in. I love all y'all I just named, but y'all talk too goddamn much. So it's hard for me to get all those people I really like all in the same hangout because there's no air for anyone else. There's no air for nothing. Not even a shitty joke from Headless Chicken. Nothing. So hangout composition was a thing. So let me get back on track. In Nadia's hangouts, you came in and you could cut your teeth. That was a really integral part of the community, because after that you could branch out. If Neffy decided he wanted to pull the sand out his ass and have people on, you could start discussing shit with a Neffy clone, because Neffy clones would come around, Cyclones would come around too, and then you could get the mini boss, right? You get the train up in Nadia's hangout, but then you want to fight the big boss, the final boss. You can go to his channel or somebody else's channel where he's at, and that was a good day. And there were little personal politics that played a role, but there was enough of the stuff around that it really didn't matter. If you didn't, Dragon's saying this, but who the fuck cares? Let's go to this person's channel if they not, if they playing that kind of bullshit. There was none of the stuff like it is now, where if you talk about certain people, other folks are scared to have you on their channel. And yeah, I know who you are, right? I'm not gonna call you out. It is what it is, right? People gotta grow, they gotta grow. But I'm gonna remember that. I'm gonna remember that. So it's interesting now that that's not around. That sort of thing isn't around. So where can people come in and cut their teeth? Well, there really isn't a place like that. There's somewhat kind of like that on Raging Atheist channel. If it was around on a regular basis, the man has a life, unlike some folks. He has a kid he has to take care of, like some folks. But it's not around as like a perpetual arena where you can come in, cut your teeth, and leave. It's not around there in that capacity. So that's one of the downfalls. But I mean, what am I saying? The downfall is that man has a fucking life, outside the internet. And that's sad once you really think about it. That's really sad that, your worth in this community, and I hate using that term too, is you are more valuable the less of a life you have. Because y'all know me by now. I'm going to say what the fuck I want to say about whoever the fuck I want to say it about. I'm going to be on here when I want to be on here. And ain't nobody going to change that but me. Or Mrs. Drag. So that's a downfall. That is actually bad. I think that's one of the, maladaptive aspects of this whole thing. This is me kind of turning me just offering my 2 cents. I'm offering my penny candies. So I've not been paying attention to the chat. I'm sorry. Was GE in the chat? Did I see GE in there? I know he watches me, but I didn't. Was he? I didn't see. I can't really scroll back. What's going on? People were saying, "Hey, I'm talking. I'm not paying attention because I don't want to crash this ship. This ship is very valuable, and I'm in the middle of my penny candy stories. So problem now is open hangouts like Nadia's are a target for sniping. So you can't have big hangouts anymore. You can do StreamYard, and you can have 6 people. Well, I'm actually grateful that StreamYard limits the number of people, because having 10 people in a hangout you're inevitably going to have 3 or 4 people as a peanut gallery. And the reason I say that, it goes back to composition. When you have JD, Hogtie, Sokka, and Ozzy all in the same hangout, have y'all actually, think about this, how often have y'all seen all of them in the same hangout? I'm not even joking. Think about the last time you've seen all of those people in the hangout at the same time. It doesn't work out too well. It's not that they avoid each other. It's just that there's only so much room to fucking talk. And again, I love you guys, but y'all talk too fucking much. I talk more on my own channel because it's just me. But anyway, seems like Tom served other places like that, people to cut their teeth. Yeah, and it is. If you really want to be challenged on something, it's you don't know, reset the seed number. That's a good question, Dinah. Actually, I don't know. Dinah, did you break my bot again? This is the second time you broke my bot, Dinah. God damn it. But it is interesting though. It's Tom. Well, as Nadia's hangouts were waning, Tom's channel started growing more, and because there needed to be a replacement, right? There needed to be a place where folks could go to cut their teeth, and it serves that same function. Unfortunately, it became kind of more and more insular, which I'm not really sure why. And I say insular, you saw a lot of the same people in Tom's hangouts, and I don't know. It's I can't really say whether that's good or bad, but I think it is. I think it's very interesting that that sort of thing happens. It's always weird to kind of see that because you don't know really. Well, where did all these other people go? Well, they're somewhere. Like they're still talking. They're still having discussions, but I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. There was something else I was going to talk about, and I forgot it. Who didn't see the pictures from the FreeFlo? Yeah, FreeFlo. That's it. Someone contacted me right as I was coming home off the fucking plane, and they suggested that I kind of have a talk about FreeFlo. So if folks want to ask questions, then now would be the time, so I can just answer them because I'm not sure exactly what people want to know about. I do have pictures if you've not seen them on the tweeters, which I understand. I'm still learning tweeters myself. Some box over the place get better at the base because nearly 24/7 grow toxic if you linger too long. Yeah, I mean I think it depends on who's in there. I think it really depends. There's some awesome folks in there, but you won't see. And it's funny because you won't really see MCrae crowd folks in there because you don't get quarter. Like if you have a shitty argument, it doesn't matter how much you kiss Steve's ass. Like the folks on Tom's server don't care, and that's good. They should stay like that, right? But that's just a fact. Fucking hell. Slow down. Oops. There she blows, Captain. Whoop. All these motherfuckers. God damn. Twitter's a cesspool of villainy. Yeah, you can say that. I just think Twitter's funny. You have to say something witty in like 240 characters. Like, alright, let me just say something witty. Just throw shade the entire time. Trying to avoid the big ships. Whoop. And looks like I'm not getting that treasure. Shit. Did not see if somebody said they see the pics or not, because I could put those up. That dark beer you posted a picture of is delicious. Have you tried it? And I think the comments froze. Yep, comments window froze. I have an app now just for all your comments, and it keeps freezing up. Okay, well, it looks like it's working now. There we go. Check Facebook. All right. Hopefully the ship doesn't come too close. Let me see. FreeFlo exists to trigger Steve. Due to the bunged up clacker, his shit doesn't flow freely. That's funny. That's mean. That's mean. That's very mean. Bunged up clacker. Oh, these weird Australian sayings. Funny. Turn. Turn, damn you. I'm getting fucked up. Yeah. Oh, bitch! That's not good. That's not good. Alright, it's time to go home. It's time to go home. Ooh. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, I'm out of ammunition too. Alright. Let's haul ass. They're shooting. These are cannonballs. These are ghostly cannonballs they're shooting in. All those symbols down there mean that all of them are out of ammunition, so I have to somehow escape this fucker and get back on our port. Hopefully it didn't follow me in port, because I'm fucked. Oh shit. Yeah, he's sitting right there. Did I disable him? I think I disabled him. He's not moving. He's turning. Oh shit. That's not good, folks. It's not good. Hey Drag, I asked earlier, you did a challenge. If you challenge G-Man to a real debate, would he go for it? Would he pass? And just wants to ambush people. So I have told G-Man before. I'm sorry, I didn't intentionally miss your shit. I'm just this galleon here is gonna fuck me up. But he doesn't think that. Oh, thanks, Diesel. Yeah, please repair my shit. But so G-Man likes the ambush, right? He thinks, because he doesn't understand that that's not how debates are supposed to happen. He thinks that you're supposed to win by ambushing people. Like, so whoever has the best ambush wins. Does that make sense to you? Because it's like you can show him, and people have shown him. It's like, no, G-Man, like what we don't have are debates. Well, why do people call it debates? Well, look, people, and this goes back to his understanding of language. He doesn't understand colloquial usage of terms, right? He understands what it is, but when you point out colloquialisms and why they're not the best representation of events and scenarios, he doesn't understand that. Because when, let's say, if I were to call this a pot, like this is seasoning, if I call that a pot, that's a pot to him, even though that's seasoning. It's clearly seasoning. You can see it says fucking seasoning. If enough people call that a pot, it becomes a pot. Not that he gets that people mislabel things. He doesn't understand that because you mislabel something, it doesn't change what that actual thing is. And that's the best way I can describe it. Yeah. That's why I'm coming back to port. I don't have enough wood. I forgot to stock up the last time I went sailing, so I'm docking this because I have to let's say refuel. I have to rearm and repair this entire vessel because I fucked it up. But G-Man does not actually understand that. And I know that's a huge shock to everybody. G-Man doesn't understand the English language. But if enough people call this seasoning a pot, he is going to call it a pot. So most of us understand that what we loosely call debates aren't debates. They're discussions that are heated at times, but they're not. I'm on a sandbar. They're not actual debates. But he thinks it's a debate. So, because for him, you can win debates. You can't really win discussions. So that's why it's better for him to phrase it like that. So, well, if it's a discussion, then that anybody can have a discussion. If you have a debate, you can say that you won that, and it adds into his need to win. He's always that kid that perpetually needs to be the first off the bus, even though it's a short bus. And I'm fucking stuck. Oh shit. That's not good. Okay. That's not good. Yes, I need wood. Kobe Report. I have not watched Kobe's in a while. I have. He uploaded quite a few videos while I was on the FreeFlo trip, so I hadn't really caught them. I was too busy trying to stay sober around Arn, which is actually a lot harder than it sounds. Probably didn't help that I offered to buy him some drinks too. Probably didn't help, if I had to guess. But now he's on, so G-Man's on something about the New World Order, and that's his new whipping boy. Because I'm sure he watched a YouTube video somewhere and came upon this revelation for the 50th fucking time. This isn't the first time he's come up with it. But he revives it every so often when he needs people to bite, though. If you notice that about G-Man, he needs people to bite. So when he throws out something, atheists endorse pedophiles and stuff like that, if people just give him grief and no one comes in and talks about it, he'll drop it pretty quickly. And then he'll go and pick up something else. Atheists back homosexuality. Oh, and this person, is a homosexual, and there's my evidence for it. Okay, well, there you go. Somebody bites, someone will come in and talk about that, make videos, and then that'll be its own little, mini series. He doesn't know how to have proper conversation. No, he doesn't. He really, even when I actually tried, and that's what's interesting is that some people try to give me grief about the way I treat G-Man. I've actually tried to treat him like a human being. I've stopped because he doesn't deserve it, but it is, I'm cordial with him when he behaves. And that's kind of my policy now, is that if he behaves, I'll not smash his fucking face in. But, this winning heights, I don't, why are y'all breaking my bots? That's what I want to know. Did you remember he has a soft spot for dark loggers? Yes. Arn has a real soft, you can call it that, man. He has an obsession with, and it's not just like there are dark loggers that you can drink, but then he has these loggers that are they're like molasses. They're like fucking molasses, dude. Like it's just like the sweetness and the consistency. At one point, felt like I was drinking molasses. And I was like, man, what the fuck did you trying to give me diabetes, man? I'm on the pinnacle. I'm on the precipice right there, and you trying to do me in. You trying to do me something. So if you want to drink with Arn, just know what to expect. I'm just saying. I'm just warning you. Oh God, the lag. Arn he's an enabler. I kept repeating that. I was absolutely intoxicated. There he is. There's the enabler. Sour beer is better. You like those sour IPAs, don't you, Fat Photog? You like those sour, those lemon IPAs. That's the kind of shit that you like. I'm willing to put money on that. Those fucking IPAs. I don't mind IPAs. The sour ones, no. I can't. Like I've tried to drink quite a few. Carl Arn, and we're drinking lagers. He drinks stouts. A lot of stouts. So the one that he gave me was an imperial stout, and the other one I think was a dark lager. And I'm trying to let me see. Let me give you the name. That might be better. I'll tell you in a second. Okay, I think this is... Nope, it was an Imperial Stout. It was Wicked Weed Brewing, barrel-aged French toast Imperial Stout, brewed with cinnamon, vanilla, and maple syrup. Fucking French toast. Here's, you want to see a picture with Arn with a colander on his head, drinking said... Oh, no, this was a dragon one. He's drinking the dragon, dragon sweat. Dragon Blood. Let's see, New Holland Dragon's Wisp. I didn't get the name of it. See if y'all can. That is Arn with a colander on his head. I think there's this one chick that brought a colander. Let me see. Actually I have the name badge thing showing a picture of it. Here you got this little lanyard, you got this Alford memes, and then you can attach. I just picked a bunch of shit and I just put it on there. So I'm thinking like this, like the question mark, and there's a little music symbol. I think that was for the events, because there were specific events that you could buy, like a private dinner. We ended up getting like the private dinner and spending all of 10 minutes at it, and then we went to go out and eat with Xavier. Not Xavier. Me and Xavier went out to eat with Skylar and Pew. So kind of a waste, kind of not. So, but it was fun. It was pretty fun. I'm not a huge fan of being around crowds of people I don't know, but knew a few. If you haven't watched much of the S.J. Thomason hosted by Aaron Paradox, I think it would give you a good hour of content. He's supposedly a prior Armenian atheist. You're welcome. That's it. I did see that she had him on, and I think I started to listen to some of it, but I think I ended up falling asleep. So I will go back. And I'll check it out, and we'll see. Because SJ is an interesting one. She is one of these people who wants to, like, I'm not going to take anything away from the fact that she is faculty. She has obtained a PhD. She is a professor, and I'm not going to take that away from her. Her behavior kind of here is interesting, because it's almost like she wants to skate that edge of trying to appear to be professional and to be above board, but she quite largely entertains people who are just blatantly insulting her over people who aren't insulting her and who are asking her to substantiate her claims. And that's because she was whining on Twitter about that the other day. And I'm just like, I sat and I watched you. I've seen you on more than one occasion ignore people who said, well, that's interesting, SJ mentioned XYZ. Where did she get her evidence from that, right? Or people, and specifically, so I'm not being vague, Dr. Josh addressed her claim towards negation of P concerning child sacrifices to Moloch. And that is something, SJ was in the chat. I'm watching her. I'm sitting literally right here watching her comment on people insulting her, but then they acknowledge that she's in the chat and we go, hey, SJ, where did you get that claim from? There's a guy who's sitting here, Dr. Josh, who literally has a book on that topic and is saying that, you know what, you might have that wrong. Like, that's a common misconception. So where did you get your stuff from? Nothing. Not a fucking word. And I've seen that across the board on multiple platforms. And it's just like, you can pretend to be above board, but when you only entertain bullshit, and when people offer you the opportunity to substantiate your claims, to have an intellectual discourse, to make salient points, all that bullshit, and you don't do it, that tells me a lot. Maybe there's a good excuse. Maybe she just so happened to get syncope and just pass the fuck out. Like, I don't know. But I think it's bullshit that she cries about that, but then actively entertains people's nonsense. You have a fucking choice. You're an adult. You're a fucking adult. So it's like, okay, you know, if that's what you want to play, then you're not worth talking to. Maybe, I don't know. Couldn't even describe. Duke couldn't even describe an Article 15. He clearly said it's like kind of like getting a DUI. Further, he said the military only promotes people getting Article 15. Okay, I've heard that joke. I've heard people mention that as a joke before. That's not actually true, but that's weird. Okay. SJ is an apologist clearinghouse. I almost misread that as clearing barrel, but I'm not. The way I feel about her is the same way people feel about me after watching one of my G-Man videos. Is that a fair depiction? Is that a fair depiction? Who was a hot? Oh, look who's in the chat. Uh-oh. That's a troublemaker. I see him. Here's what I was drinking before I even got on the plane. We had like a 4-hour layover in Charlotte, so me and Xavier sat down and we had some drinks. And when I rolled up on Arn, I always like to surprise him. And so, I put a poll on Twitter and asked folks who's taller. Me, Matt Dillahunty, Arn, or Seth Andrews, and a lot of people, the vast majority of people put Arn. I am taller than Arn, just so you folks know. I am actually taller than him when he's not wearing his boots. But so I came up, and so I put my hand on his shoulder like that, and just gave it just a little squeeze. And so he turns around, he goes, "Oh, it's you!" So he's like, "Shit." And so I was like, "Hey, man, what's going on?" And so I showed him the messages that G-Man sent. And so of course, this again, it's not anything privileged. G-Man and I know that we both share messages, but there's nothing, you know, and y'all probably can't see that. So let me know when you get time. If you meet Matt Dillahunty, I'm a little jealous, but not Arn Raw. Have fun with those guys. When you come into New York City again, I might come to Houston in February. All right. So I showed Arn that, and so he's like, "I want to take a pic. I want you to send this to him." And so this is the picture that Arn wanted me to send to G-Man, right? And so, so me and Arn are chatting. I saw Lalandra came around with I think she had like a plate of, plate of oysters or something? I don't know. It looked delicious. But she had a plate of something, and I was talking to Lalandra. I was like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" And so we went to go put our shits up, and we came back down. I see Matt Dillahunty just kind of just strolling out of the banquet area in there, and I was like, "Hey, I got to talk to you about something. I think you've spoken to my associate Nate Brody." And about what? I think you have a particular issue with a particular guy. And so he's like, "Oh, that." And so he and I sat down and started talking about that whole scenario, and that more to come on that. But so I showed him the messages from G-Man, and we started talking about the episode of the Atheist Experience. And so he wanted me to send this, like Arn, to G-Man. And so he's like, "You know what?" He says, "I inadvertently made the letter G in sign language, so you know what? It works for that too." So yes, I am a G. Thank you, Matt. But so yeah, me and Matt got to know each other quite well during that. And so there's Seth came something happened to Seth Andrews, like his plane, like they just canceled the shit. It was like, you ain't going nowhere. So he came in late as shit. It had to have been close to midnight when Seth came in. And so he was looking a little wobbly, and he went to fuck sleep. So he kind of went around. There was no, and thank you for reminding me. No, there were no sex parties. I think people oversell this idea that every atheist event is just some sex-fueled, like depraved, debaucherous event. And that doesn't happen. Not every time. But this event was family friendly, very, very family friendly. They even had childcare. There was the main like banquet hall room place area thing, and then right next to it, like right adjacent to it, was the smaller room where people's kids were playing and frolicking, all that shit. So people weren't dressed, provocatively and all that and everything and whatnot, because this was a very family-friendly event. And a lot of people that I had spoken to that wanted to go mentioned that, oh, I had my kids. There was childcare at the event, folks. And so maybe I guess there just needs to be better advertisement for that, because but it got sold out really quickly. But that was one of the things that they made sure that they took care of, was the child care. What else? I was going to mention something else. Shit. Get him. Yeah. Get him. Tam up. So yeah, we attended a few of the we attended some of the speakers. I got to listen to Seth. I got to listen to Dr. Sakibu Hutchinson. And there was a few others, but like I said, I'm not a big fan of staying in rooms with a bunch of people I don't know. And that's not anything against any of the folks who were there. It's just I'm just not a huge fan of that. But I did, however, enjoy talking to random people while we were out in front of the bar outside of the convention area. In fact, I kind of posted up in the same spot, and people were asking. I was like, yeah, I got this shitty little YouTube channel where I was like, actually, do y'all know who G-Man is? Yeah, there's a lot of people who actually know who G-Man is. It's actually shocking, folks. When I tell you that I was legitimately shocked at how many people know who G-Man is. And it's from the Atheist Experience, from whoever, right? But y'all think that, his reach is just here. No, there are people I have never met know who G-Man is. And so I said, hey, my channel, I just do commentary on G-Man and people like it.
I stole $3,000.
Who stole $3,000? Angry Rose says if they do have orgies, they can hire Steve to pick up the used condoms. That's right. He's pretty good at that. So I was talking to a guy we had met there, a tall guy, older guy, who did say that there was somebody at the event who came up to him and talked to him at the bar, and she was very interested in him, and he was like, hey, I got a wife, but she was very interested in showing him her tits, and so he had to excuse himself and walk the fuck away. So that's probably the closest thing that I've heard of that could be considered questionable. So if you folks want to know that's literally it. That's the closest thing I can get you. But I think some of the sex is oversold. Now, if it wasn't a family-friendly event, I definitely think that some of the there probably would have been some more lewdness. Oh shit! Well, that's not nice. He fucking ate me. But I do want to actually go to one of these events. And I want to see it for myself. I said see it, not participate in it. I'm actually curious. But this was a family-friendly one. The crowd was, how can I say, very homogenous. Definitely folks who were middle-aged, a little over the hill. Definitely very white. But I mean, it seems like it's improving. Right? It's not always that, but it's Florida though, so. It's Florida. It's kind of what you expect. But I will be attending some more events. I am actually trying to make plans to go to one in Chicago hosted by Mandisa Thomas, and I think Bridget Crutchfield. I think she's co-founder. She might be co-founder, but I think it's hosted by It hosted by Mandisa Thomas. So if y'all want to catch me, y'all can catch me one of those. But I will let folks know. I'm gonna let folks know where I'll be around in their area. During people at FreeFlo new G-Man, yes, they did. Yeah, and I just asked, hey, how many of y'all actually know G-Man? There were about 8 people that I was talking to. 7 of them know who G-Man was. It's about 7 out of 8 knew who he was, mostly from the atheist experience. So we had a little fun time talking about that.
I stole $3,000.
Ate that alligator and shit him out. Look at that. Good job. Buck Melanoma says, I only stole $2,999.99, but they rounded up. Oh, look at you. Look at you. Look at you. Oh, what the fuck is killing me? Good job, Evan Saber. Good job. Looking kind of full there. I'm about to pass out. Folks. It's about to happen. Y'all should stop bitching and quipping about Steve and his guest. Guy actually has good conversation, doesn't fucking whine like I hear. Does he? So Messenger, when he's talking about the 17, 18-year-old girls and cyberbullying, is that good conversation? Maybe I missed something. Is that what happens? I didn't know Messenger was a Steve. Well, actually, it kind of makes sense why you like him. I'm not even going to pretend like I don't know. It's y'all share a lot in common. But no, I am genuinely curious. So which conversations exactly? Because I like to ask people this. So maybe because I don't sit and I don't watch them. I catch clips that people send me. So obviously I don't see all of it. Later. Master Dragon, no master. I'm just riding on my tiger. Man, I could have a conversation about some biochemistry, but show everyone big words I know. You want to see all my big words? You want to see me mess up basic philosophy? Yeah, I'm curious, Messenger, what conversations are you referring to? Like within a recent week or two or month? Because it can't be the creep show stuff. Or maybe it is. Maybe it's that stuff. He's typing, folks. He's typing. Give him time. Give him time. There was something I was supposed to... Oh. I need to start the repairs on the ship. Because I got fucked up in that fight. So let's put this here. Oh, I'm too heavy. Oh, God. Oh, God. Too heavy. A convo about Bible chemistry. Oh, you mean the chemistry that they use to make abortificants in the church? By using like the ashes on the ground, some shit like that. Science philosophy guests sharing their views on things. He actually listens rather than trying to be right or refute other different opinions. So let me explain something, Messenger. The fact that you can't actually give me anything specific is interesting, but we'll pretend like you offered something substantive there. Talking about science is not the same thing as someone educating an audience or their guests on a specific area within science. If I am going to say that I have a conversation with someone about my research, I'm specifically referring to the synthesis of certain amino acids, methionine, isoleucine, threonine, what have you, right? That's not talking about science. That's us discussing the biochemistry of amino acid synthesis. So let's clear that up, right? Talking about topics is not educating people. Right? You don't go to a class to talk about people talking about topics. Unless the topic's about meta-narrative. Then that's different. So if you are saying that he doesn't, he listens rather than trying to be right or refute people, I don't know who, we're not talking about the same person, obviously. because that's the majority of what he fucking does. In fact, if you look at the shit that he says on Twitter versus the shit that he says to people when he's discussing it with them, he's denigrating them while trying to actively refute them. Actually, one of the controversies with the one guy who was a $50 patron, that's a perfect fucking example. So I'm not sure who you're talking about here, right? Because it doesn't make sense. I don't know what you're referring to about the teenager site. Okay, so you don't know what I'm talking about then. Then what have you been watching on his channel within the last week? Just yesterday, he had a whole hang-up crying about Science is Mel. So what topics are you discussing that he has spoken about? Because, again, you're being very vague. That's vagaries. And I gave you an example of me talking about a specific area within science versus talking about people talking about a topic, right? There's a huge difference. And this is what kills me about folks. When people say shit like that, it's like, are we speaking a different language? Yes. Language is metaphorical, folks. Remember Wittgenstein. See, I was going to get it in there one way or another. Y'all knew it was coming. You knew it was fucking coming, didn't you? You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. Y'all knew it was coming. Y'all knew it was coming. You need to fix my ship. What are you doing? Crazy Alex the Wanderer. Why do you look like that Adult Swim character? Can't remember his name. We're level you up. Shit. You got copper and salt. My dude. That's what's up. How much? How much you brought back, my man? How much you brought back? Oh my God. I don't use Twitter, so I can't comment on those posts. Okay, so have you seen his channel within the last week? Have you literally pulled up his channel and seen the last 3 or 4 videos he's made? Because the last one I know was made about Science is Mel, which is interesting. If he's discussing science and philosophy, why is he discussing drama that he supposedly has with somebody who's actually educating folks? I mean, again, maybe we're talking about 2 different people. Maybe we're talking about 2 different people. That's probably it. I think so. 2K copper. Okay, not bad. Okay, that's not bad. We can do something with that. Probably need to go another gym run. Actually, where's Tad been? He's been playing Dota. That's why. Because he's a loser. Loser. Still love you though. That's okay. We're going to go on a treasure hunt later this weekend, folks. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Going on a fucking treasure hunt. I got class in an hour. That's why I'm looking at my phone. Don't share my posts. How dare you. Gotta do some U.S. history. Yay. I'm just always curious what people talk about, what they see, that is actually interesting. I'm not mad at fucking what's his name? Messenger. No, it's interesting because that brings up a really good point about meta narrative, about people, and it actually relates to what I was talking about earlier, where talking about a topic isn't substantive in any way, shape, or form. You're putting on airs. If you're not actually discussing it, like the merits of whatever the topic is, then you're offering commentary. So that's kind of what I was getting at before. Let's be honest. What exactly did Steve do to you personally to reason to reserve your grudge towards him? There's a lot of people on here that I have my ire is drawn towards for various reasons. He's not unique to that. That's like asking me, well, what's the deal between you and G-Man? Where you want me to start? I wasn't too happy with the shit that GE and Shannon Q and fucking Kyle did with as far as Emperor Atheist. There's a lot of folks on here that have drawn my ire at one point or another, but there's a difference between folks who do shit that I find to be fucked up and that they try to like gloss over or pretend like it didn't happen, and folks who do, you know what, probably wasn't the right answer. And that you'll see that the majority of my commentary will be based on people who can't reflect upon the shit that they do and say. If you notice that, the vast majority of my criticisms are surrounding people who have absolutely no remorse for the fucked up shit that they do or say, and the people who can't really introspect. Because I have actually a pretty good relationship with people that I really didn't get along with. And actually it happens quite a bit that a lot of the people who know me the best, we've had issues in the past and we've addressed it like adults. But being able to rebound from that shows a certain strength of character that I value in other people. And it's not that, that this somehow you've crossed one of these lines that I have in the sand that no one knows about, and that's the end of it. You know what? Your name is mud and all that bullshit. No, I don't actually think that because people fuck up, unless you're like a pedophile or something. I think that most folks are redeemable in that way. And no, I'm not no fucking arbiter of who is redeemable. I'm using that term very, very, very loosely, but just showing the strength of character to be able to reflect upon one's actions. That's it. Like that's the long and short of it. I wish Steve the best, honestly. I hope that he continues to find more things to occupy his time and an audience to supply him with the admiration and the affirmation that he desires. And I'm not joking with that. I'm not being facetious at all. I'm dead serious about that, because he's not going to get it in real life. No one's actually going to acknowledge who he is for who he thinks he is. But after spending as much time as I have around Steve, I have a pretty good understanding of what's going on in his head. I was in Nick Suter's place at one point in time, and so he confided in me things that I've not actually spoken about, and I've just vaguely referenced. And so that's why I don't hold any hostility toward him. I mean, he still does creepy shit, but I mean, he's not the only one. But what is it that people find objectionable about? And you have to think about this for a second. If he has the wherewithal to try and castigate other people, why is it objectionable for people to castigate him? That's what I've never understood about this. And it's like, I got it, people are fans, and they hold him in some high esteem for whatever reason. But I think it's because I have people of actual merit that I know and I associate with that. And people can feel some type of way about that. That's fine. But there's people who are making waves in industries and in fields that will actually change human health, that I don't find that this kind of low-level bullshit to be even remotely comparable. And it just may be a perspective thing. And I can't hope that people understand that unless they experience that. It's just like I can't explain how it is to be a soldier. That's something you have to experience. You can talk about it. You can talk about other people talking about it. But that's not something that I can superimpose upon other people. I can't articulate how it is to feel satisfaction. And I'm not talking about just eating a good steak, because my fat ass can do that all day. When I talk about satisfaction, knowing that I've worked towards a goal and that I am now stepping foot, just dipping my toe in the water to a behavior or a role that I've always wanted to do, that I've always wanted to be at. That sort of satisfaction goes just beyond mere words. And I know that that's something that Steve really can't do in real life. So he has to create that sort of scenario online. So in that sense, he can have that admiration. He can have that sort of clout that he can't get in real life. And again, that's all he's going to do. That's it. He will never be a fraction of the man that I am now or will become. And that is satisfaction to me, because all throughout my entire life, up until these 30-something years, I have seen guys talk big game about loads of stuff, but then fail with the follow-through. And that each time I see somebody who is simply insufficient, someone who simply believes they are, fail utterly when it comes to the tests, the real-life tests, it is galvanizing to me. And you can find that to be, I guess, macabre if you want to, but seeing guys fail in my basic training, seeing them broken, literally men who've been broken mentally and physically, is gratifying, because I'm not that guy. And it is fucked up. I'm not going to pretend like it's not. But that is the separation between men versus boys. That is a separation between people who are operators, who are special forces, you know, they're Navy SEALs, and regular soldiers and sailors. That's always been the separation. So I carry that with me all throughout life and uplift people where I can. But for those who don't want to do for themselves, you can only hope that they can do what little they want to. And I guess just be satisfied with it. Their complacency is their downfall. So you have no choice but to accept it. G-Man is happy where he is. G-Man is right where he wants to be, save for very few scenarios that he's talked about. He would love to have a syndicated radio station. Some of you probably didn't know that. That's actually one of his goals. Go and ask him. He will tell you, yes, that is actually one of his long-term goals. He's probably fallen away from that right now, but that's something that he's spoken about in the past, but people don't really pay attention to him. So they skip that. But I've sat and I've talked to this guy. And so it's laughable, right? But that's one of his goals. Like, one of G-Man's goals in the past that he's talked about was becoming a WWE wrestler. And that didn't really work out for him. He took that one chair, and that was it. If y'all can find that story, that's a really interesting story. It's a sad story. That's probably once, like, it is funny, but I actually feel bad laughing at him for that, because if you hear him tell the story, you can tell that he's just not talking. Like, he'll talk about, you know, I'll walk better than you and talk better than you and do science, but you know, the stuff from the song, right? You could hear him say that shit, but when you hear him talk about the WWE story, you can tell that he really wanted that. You can tell that that was something that he had thought about for years. And he, like, the reality literally hit him. And so, you know, he was just taken out of the game. And so, like, where do you go from that? Where do you go from being taken out of the one thing that you really desired in life? You know, there's tons of people who sit and they just languish because they don't know where to go. And so, like, I don't know what I would do if I was in that spot. I'm not sure. But I am fortunate that I'm not. For now, at least. Something could happen. What if I can't even say Parkinson's disease, because this guy is holding this. My PI is holding hydrochloric acid and shit. You know, with Parkinson's disease, which is, you know, there are stronger acids, but still, you know, you get my point. If I was blinded, I'd be a damn scientist. So then what? Well, might as well just be an online cult leader, right? I don't know. Like, it's interesting. It's interesting. So you can't do anything really, you know, other than just kind of be happy for folks. If they are satisfied with, you know, not being much of nothing other than attached to MCrae, then you know what? Like, be happy for them. Because I think that folks think that I'm joking or I'm just being facetious. No, I actually am. Like, Cheshire probably will do something with her life when she grows the fuck up. Maybe. I don't know. Right now, it doesn't look like it, but you know what? This is the attention her parents obviously didn't give her. So it is what it is. And people don't like me saying that. That's too fucking bad. But that's the truth. You know, it's just, I don't feel a need to bullshit folks unless I'm trying to be funny. Unless I'm obviously fucking joking. I don't feel the need to try and sugarcoat how I actually fucking feel about folks, because I think it does a disservice. If I want folks to be honest with me, I'm gonna be honest with them. But no, that's not an excuse just to be abjectly cruel to folks. But I think that there's some feedback that folks obviously don't get. At least it's obvious to me. They're not gonna get, and that's one of the wake up calls. It's one of the kicks in the ass that I've had throughout my life. Is like, you know what? Sometimes you just have to be absolutely fucking honest with what's going on, and some people can't take that. Some people want you to sit there and give them affirmation for doing the bare fucking minimum in life. No, my dude, that's not how that goes. You want to come here. There we go. Come here.
I stole $3,000.
Come here. There we go. If you want the accolades, if you want to be one of these folks, you just let's pick some folks for a second. Let's think about this. Let's think about this. What separates Matt? Who giving me fucking money? Who's this? Athena, goddess of warrior and wisdom warfare, said, "Be thankful you're at least able to walk out in the sun, not burn alive. Being able to drive is another thing you should be thankful for." I'm thankful for a lot, actually. I'm thankful for quite a bit. But it's about trying to make the best of your situation, right? Because I'm not going to sit here and pretend like everybody's situation is the same. Like how people come over and they triumph over some of the adversities in their life makes some of the greatest of stories. And because you think about some of the best stories that you've heard, some of the most legendary tales, right? You got your beginning of the story, got your was it the epilogue? And you go up to climax. You know, we get rising action, and you got your climax. Like there's always something that folks have to overcome in order to really make that story something, to make it worth something. Y'all don't time out Messenger. Let him, if he's talking that shit, let him talk that shit. But don't time him out. I think it's interesting that people want to, and this isn't a criticism of any one person. This is just me just talking. Me observing a lot of stuff just throughout life. Like folks want shortcuts to shit. They want the clout. They want the affirmation. They want the attention. That's why you see people who are doing the stolen valor. Why do you think folks? Why do you think Why do you think there are fractions of people in almost every society that has an army or has a military, I should say, that pretend to be part of it? Why? Just think about how weird that is. I'm pretty sure back, when when they were just, legionnaires and centurions and shit like that, people tried to pretend to be some of them. Why? Well, you know what? In some cases, they weren't given the opportunity to. Some people just weren't in the right place and right time. Some people just don't have it within them, literally, like genetically. But then, there are others who
I stole $3,000.
They suffer through and they find a way to try and overcome, to try and surmount that challenge. And sometimes they can't. Sometimes it's just it's such a great hurdle that they simply can't. And that's a reality. But with that reality, it's the acceptance of whatever that situation is and then trying your best to overcome it in a way that kind of skirts whatever the main issue is. So if you know what, you're never going to be able to dunk like Mike or to jump like Mike, but you know what, you can be a pretty good fucking point guard, right? Like there are different ways that you can excel in your own area. What the fuck, Agrippa? Save some pussy for the rest of. Yeah. So What do people send? No comment. So what was I saying? There are people who are just naturally going to be born with a certain physique. I absolutely realize that. You've a guy who helped shape kind of who I am, a lieutenant colonel from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Was he from Baton Rouge? No. He was from Bossier City. I should probably pronounce that. Bossier City, Bossier. He was from Bossier City. Or was he from Monroe? He was from Monroe. They all like really, it's gonna sound bad. Almost everybody from Monroe are really dark, kind of short, really stubby fingers, and have really exaggerated cheekbones. That's, for some reason, those traits in that area, you can identify. If you know they're from Louisiana, they're from Monroe. The other choice is Bossier City, but mostly from Monroe. Anyway, that's a fun little fact. I can almost every time I run across somebody from Monroe, I know that they're from Monroe. And they say, "Oh, you're psychic." No, so all y'all have those same features. Oh yeah. Anyway, a little bit of colorism for you, but it's he would always comment on the things that he would do if he had my size, because he was a shorter guy. Like, he was kind of short and stubby, but this man was the lieutenant colonel in the Army. He's retired lieutenant colonel. And I'm just like, I can't really understand that, because this is me as a teenager. I can't understand what he was trying to, because he said it more than once, and he laughed it off. But it was envy. It was actually like he was expressing in that moment envy, because he did not have the genetics to kind of do what he wanted to do in life. And he was very candid about it. And so it's interesting, because you think about that for a second. You have to be in the military a good 20-something years to be a lieutenant colonel. And so now he's retired. He's doing, he's teaching JROTC. He's doing okay for himself. But he put his energy into something that was somewhat associated with, I guess physically at least, with kind of the macho-ness, the masculinity associated with having the physique that I have specifically, right? And he put that energy into something associated with it and obtained rank, status, honor, all types of stuff that go along with that. And it's interesting when you really sit back and think about it. Like, what have people put their energy into by trying to kind of overcome their faults? Because you think about it, there's a choice that you can make. You can sit and you can dwell on it all day long. You can dwell on the fact I'm too short, too fat, too ugly. Some of that stuff you can fix. Or you could say, you know what? I'm gonna just accept myself, and I'm gonna work out what I can. I'm gonna find my strengths and just really hone in on them. And that's why you see guys who look like Trump with women who look like Ivanka. I mean, she's not really my type, but you know what? She is a good-looking woman. Do you think that if he didn't, have the status that he did, that he would have got with her? No. Don't blame her either. Go up in the world. Shit. But it's like, that's what ends up happening. That's what ends up occurring for some. But if you're just fucking lazy, and you think, well, if I could just sit here and I'll just acquire the status and the affirmation by just speaking, then I don't know. Like it requires, at least in my mind, a bit more than just saying things. And so let me give you an example, because there are people who make their living just kind of sitting and giving their opinion. Absolutely, these folks are knowledgeable. Absolutely, but then they also go into the real world and they follow through with the things that they believe in, and it's not just rhetoric. One person I can think of right now is Cirrus. Skeptic Cirrus. I'm not sure his whole name. Everyone should know who Cirrus is. He actually goes out and helps rescue people. Like, he's done that more than once. And it's actually kind of a joke. Oh, we did a thing. Went and rescued somebody. And I identify with that because I've had to somewhat go and do that. I've not had to go to that person's house because it was in Louisiana, and I'm not going to white people's house in Louisiana to rescue nobody. So, but I've had to be that bulwark against someone who was abusive. And this person who was of age needed to escape because of if they were being abused more than one way. And so I got that. I identify with that. It's one thing to sit and talk about having these values. It's another thing to spend time, money, resources, whatever, to go and do that. And that, to me, is a separation between people who just say shit and people who do shit. And that's always going to kind of be my litmus test, is that you can talk that talk, but can you walk that walk? Because it's easy. Everybody can come on here and tell everyone how fucking smart you are. Absolutely. I've been seeing it for years. Awesome. We all think that you are the most intelligent motherfucker in the world. Oh my God. So I'll give you a hand. How's that helped anybody? Have you? Has you trying to show everyone how fucking better you are than other people worked out in anybody's favor but your own? Or are you just encouraging somebody else's fucking narcissism? Is that what it is? If that's your fucking goal, then alright, cool. Let's make another fucking mouth breather. Yay! Big brain on you. 62 IQ. No. That's why someone has said that me and a few others are jaded. Yeah. Because we see so many fucking people who are like that. See all types of people. And it ain't just about fucking Steve. This has been a thing ever since Brett Keane first started talking about atheism on YouTube. And it's not just relegated to YouTube. Is that these people who are very like dead set on trying to show that. Like trying to show how superior they are. They end up living very interesting lives when you really compare some of the shit that they say compared to what they do. Because mind you, I've made it a point to go out and meet people in real life because I want to disabuse myself of things. I want to challenge the things that I believe about other people. I've done that all throughout my life. That's why I've lived with white people quite a few times. It's actually shocking how often I've lived with different white people. It's not random white people, it's people, the guys I grew up with. But guys from not only who are white, but guys who are in different economic statuses, different social circles. It's very interesting to have certain perceptions challenged. And just like with that, in comparison, going to some of these events disabuses me of certain notions. I learned a lot about Arn, learned a lot about Matt Dillahunty, learned a bit about Seth. Seth is an interesting guy, by the way. He's interesting. I think he's uncomfortable in crowds. I don't know if he's talked about that, but he seems like he's a friendly guy. Don't get me wrong. I don't have anything against Seth Andrews. It's just something about his posture and there's certain facial. I was talking to Xavier about this, but he just seemed, maybe he was constipated the entire time. I don't know, but I don't know. I still got the hug for Shannon Q. You owed me, Shannon. 1 week without the duck face, Shannon. That's what I want. I'm talking to Shannon Q. 1 week without the duck face. That's all I ask.
I stole $3,000.
But I think that's fair. What's this? Maybe she gonna visit me. I'm not coming to New Jersey anytime soon. I'm just gonna be honest with you. No, not that Seth. Seth Andrews. I met Seth Andrews. But I am actually gonna. Yeah, I'm about to end this because it's about time. Actually, let me put the tiger up before I leave. What was I gonna say? I am going to try to have a tentative schedule on where I'm going to be. Wow. I'm going to have a tentative schedule on where I'm going to be. Obviously, a factor is money, so I'm going to start putting more stuff up on Patreon for folks, and y'all probably not seen the PayPal link. Notice it disappeared. Notice some of the stuff associated with it, like the stuff that used to be up. There we go, up there. You notice that disappeared a while ago. There's a reason for that. There's a reason. That's because the PayPal is now being relegated to stuff for the Magic Sandwich Show, and I don't want to get that stuff mixed in with my personal finances. So that's why I fucking hit it. And yeah, no, that's why I did that. But it's but I will put stuff up once Pew sends me the other video. I'll put that up on Patreon, as well as some other pics that I have just in my phone, and I'll try to start doing some more talks with the Jehovah's Witnesses outside. So it's I'll try, because for some reason people like me talking to them, or if you don't, please let me know, because it's talking to them is just, I feel funny afterwards. Like, it's, you know that you're talking to a cult. Like, you know that there's cult-like shit happening, and it's just weird. But I will go and I'll talk to them and record it if folks want that. But yeah, so put that up there. But yeah, I gotta start actually trying to get money for some of these trips. Yes, Shannon Q is talking to G-Man on Modern Day Debates. I think she announced it on the tweeters a few days ago. I'm not too, other than the last thing that I saw of Shannon Q or her talking to the Braxton guy, I'm not really sure what else she's been doing. I have no idea. But I'm all about giving folks a chance, right? You know, if you want to say, you know what, this is kind of where I want to go, and I want to, kind of set the record straight and that sort of thing, I'm all for it. So I think it's worth the chance, worth the opportunity. Why is he's trying to fucking distract me, because I want to end this. So if you have not heard, I am making plans on going on the Atheist Experience. Matt did give me an open invitation, and so I actually need to look at my schedule to see when I can plan that, because it'll be kind of a weekend thing, and I'm trying to actually bring the wife along maybe, and then just stay in a hotel and just hang out with Matt, and the crew, and do the show on Sunday, and then drive back. So when that is, I'm maybe before the end of the year, more than likely. Towards the end of the year, maybe doing Dallas Fort Worth area, because that's a short. I think that's like a $200 plane ticket. So not even that. New York is being planned right now for next summer. So the beginning of next summer is kind of the time frame of when me and the missus intend on going to New York. International stuff. Again, the biggest hurdle there is money. So I want to go do the Canadian tour. There we have invitations literally in every province, and I might have to leave the wife behind on that one, at least for the Aussie stop on that trip, because Aussie wants to take me out in the fucking woods and do stuff with me. So, I phrase it that way for a reason. But that's the kind of shit that I you know what, you want to make fucking igloos and catch some fish, I'm all for it. Let's do it. I like that shit. But eventually, yes, I would like to go to Australia. I'm kind of against Australia just because of all the dangerous fucking creatures that some of y'all have. But there's quite a few people that I know that I would like to see in Australia. So that's going to be a hell of a fucking trip. But I definitely do want to go to Australia. And so I may get into speaking at some of these events, maybe eventually. I don't know. We'll see. But we'll see. Still not too sure. But for right now, got short-term goals. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Thanks for watching, folks. Yes, Shannon Q will be debating G-Man later tonight. I hope she brings mouthwash. But hope y'all had some fun. Please put whatever the fuck you want to in the comment section. I'm probably not gonna look at it. Like and dislike, I don't give a shit. I'm not Steve. I'm not gonna fucking turn off my likes and dislikes because a lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people read me comments I don't like. I'm sorry, that's part of YouTube, it's part of social media. So if you do want to get in contact with me, you know how to get in contact with me. So buy me a beer. All right, you say that. Actually, next time I go live, I'll do a poll, and if you get the answer right, I'll give you 1,500 points. How about that? Somebody like Dinah and Angry Rose probably don't need 1,500 points, but it's an opportunity for some of y'all to gamble. So, and I'll give you the question now so that you can think about it. All right. What is the name of the blue mixed drink that I always get? It's not my favorite drink, but it's the blue drink that I always drink anytime I go meet somebody. So you've heard me talk about it, but how many of y'all actually know the name of it? Because it was also the drink that I bought everyone at FreeFlo. So, there we go. That's it, folks. See you.